That's how good I think these champions are. All right. And if you're still like, yeah, I don't know, I really like Scarlet Witch, dude, throw God in front of premium, and they are now God premium, and I bet you feel better. Okay. All right. So. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's time for the November updated rankings. I'm excited to jump right into this. For those of you that are new to our ranking system, I know it's going to look a little bit different to you. There's less columns. There's no mention of gods anywhere. Stick with us. I'll try to explain it as we go, but just know the whole point was to provide a rather simple and quick reference for you to initially start your research on how good's this champion, right? So you come here, you see this, all right, here's where Vega has them ranked, and then you're gonna go on to somewhere where you can really get the information you're looking for and what does that champion do. I don't think any spreadsheet in a game this complex is really gonna tell you everything you need to know about a champion. And therefore, I just wanna give you the basic information so that you can start your research and move on from there. And then, of course, the always fun, let's debate where the champions actually deserve to be. We're going to cover the champions that have been put in bold because there's something either new about them in my thinking or they've been recently updated. So we're going to start in the top shelf designation here. And the example for top shelf is, or the way you can understand it, the most easy way to define it is you've just completely maxed out your 5-star. You've taken them to rank 5, you've used 6 stones to get them to 6200, and on your next 6-star opening, you get that exact same champion. So you just got Doom, you're so excited, you used your Mystic Awakening gem, you used your Mystic 6 stones, you've ranked them to rank 5, you open your next 6-star crystal, and you get Doom. And you know what? You're still excited, right? Because he's that great. You now have a Doom for AQ and a Doom for Alliance War and a Doom for questing and all the various modes of this game, and you're just pumped up. So that's what that is. That's what that is. And we'll scroll through. I do not believe that we have any updates to the top shelf designation right now. They're there, and that's where they deserve to be. Always interested in hearing your comments on that, though. So let's move and go straight to the super premium. This is obviously an awesome tier, a great place to be. And we're going to group the 2 mutants here because, we're going to group the 2 mutants here because they came out at the same time, and I think that is part of why we're starting to see more comments on them and more questions on them, and why we're starting to evaluate our thinking on them. I could definitely see both of them being moved into the top shelf designation. In fact, I was considering it for this video, and I was working on some of the notes for it, and I decided to take a break and check the comment section on the YouTube videos, and I had this really smart comment from OYC2316. And I'm just going to summarize it a little bit. In essence, this is what they were saying is, look, Apocalypse can apply so many debuffs. The power is clearly there. One of the biggest complaints that people say is that, he takes all this time to ramp up, but we have other ramp up champions who are considered to be excellent. Additionally, the ramp up's not that bad, and you can take a synergy partner to make it so there's no ramp up at all. And you have champions like Omega Red and Ghost in your top shelf. A lot of people who do rankings do, and they definitely require a synergy champion, or at least they do to achieve the top shelf ranking that you have given them. And I wrote back almost immediately and I said, I think you're completely correct. Great point. Thank you for commenting and providing your thoughts. And I was considering doing this anyway. And here's the thing is, I'm leaving Apocalypse there. I probably should or could have moved him up in the super premium because they are intended to be ranked within their columns as well. Because of all the reasons that OYC2316 had said. They are completely correct. And I had just used Apocalypse in this week's AQ, a very cool video that will be coming out. And the thing I had in the back of my head is, yeah, but it's a plus 40 mutant week. And so I think we need to keep that stuff in mind. And I want to be, I'm an excitable person. So I get this champion and I take him to rank 2 as a 6-star. And I'm like, they're the best. And I realize though, is I want to make sure I'm giving an objective and I think maybe conservative opinions on these things. So that's why Apocalypse is there. I think as we see him being brought to rank 3, or as more people get him as he makes his way through the crystal system, we'll see him maybe more in War and in AQ, and therefore that will show, yes, he should be moved up in the designation. And here's the thing is I think his synergy partner, because of what can be done, might be the best of those synergy partners that we mentioned. I really like Wasp a lot. I do. But if you take Cable to make sure Apocalypse just starts off with, those 4, I can't remember what it's called, but the 4 charge, a genetic code, I think it is. And then you make Cable a Horseman. I love Horseman Cable. When this all came out, that was actually the first thing I tested was a Horseman Cable in Labyrinth of Legends. And it was crazy. I don't use that term too often. It was crazy what Cable could do. So that's my thinking on Apocalypse. So many different debuffs, can handle so many different nodes. The ability to, with that, the hitting into the block and causing a stun. Tanky too. Mistake-prone player like me, really, I cannot value enough the tankiness of a champion. And then Professor X. I'm starting to get comments on the videos I did on Professor X. I wanted to throw Professor X on the top shelf right away. That was my hey, I got to calm myself down here because some people are going to watch this and, we want to provide the best information possible for them. And here's why I like Professor X. Here's why I think he's great. And I think eventually the community is going to come around to agreeing with that or at least agreeing to how good I think he is no one debates the damage potential. No one does. It's incredible. It's amazing. We're starting to even see comments and videos on, I use Professor X with a power back boost. And look at this. And it is truly amazing. He is an evade and miss counter, and he's my favorite one. And the reason is you don't need to do anything. You don't need to apply a debuff. You don't need to stun the champion, the defender. You don't need to end in a 5-hit combo. You don't need to end in a light. You don't need to end in a medium. You don't need to land a heavy. You just have to get to the 25 channeling charges, and as long as the defender is not a tech champion, they are not going to miss. You are not going to miss, and they are not going to evade. And that is a big deal. It is a very big deal. And as the nodes in the champion interactions continue to get more and complex, and you need to perform action, this certain action in this certain time window, having to not worry about evade or miss, it just removes, it's a big deal for me. And it removes one of the most difficult parts of those fights. I love that. And then you package that with the ability to do the damage that I think we all agree is there. And then it's like Kabam was just like, let's throw in some more, huh? He has these incredible synergies for so many different mutants who are already some of the best champions in the game. So I think as more people get Xavier, I think Xavier Apocalypse is going to be my next rank 3 mutant. Anyways, I think we'll truly get to test as book 2 comes out and we see, where's this meta shifting to or evolving to. I could easily see Xavier or Apocalypse making their way, or Apocalypse making their way into that top shelf designation. So let's continue on. Cosmic Ghost Rider. I love Cosmic Ghost Rider. He's my most recent rank 3 champion. The damage is incredible. Playing him is very, very satisfying. There is some uniqueness to him on being able to trigger decks, but making sure you trigger it when you want to. We have a lot of videos out on that. I suggest checking those out if you have some questions on him. And the rotation is much more tailorable to what you need done than I think a lot of folks initially realized, but I think that question's being answered more and more, so that's great. That all being said, with all that ability to do all that damage and handle these certain champions, why is he not top shelf? Here's why. One is I don't want, like we said with the Apocalypse and Xavier, is I don't want to just throw someone up there because what if we have to move them down, right? And we don't want to have to do that after a month or two. I like War, and so much of my analysis is based on what I see in War. And he is very difficult to use in war. And you know, a lot of folks had said that initially, so it's not like this is a surprise. But there are a lot of nodes and champion interactions that make him pretty difficult to use, and where there's not like it's just one other champion that would be superior or safer, that there might be 3 or 4 or 5. There might be handfuls. So I think it's going to take either book 2 coming out and us just seeing how great he is for it, or maybe as we improve as players with him, as we learn more about him and we get the timings down and spacings, we realize, no, here's how you can handle that. Here's how you can handle this. We could see him moving up to the top shelf designation, but for now, I'm very comfortable with him in Super Premium. Remember, that's an amazing rank. That's an amazing rank. If you look at the champions that are in the Super Premium, you see how good that is. And that is no shade to Cosmic Ghost Rider. I took him to R3 over Corvus, over Captain Marvel movie on my own roster. So I really like him. I think he's great. I think he's a lot of fun. I'm very happy with my choice. I'm using him to destroy through that Hulk quest or whatever it's called, where we get rooted into the ground. I can't think of the name for it, but I've used him so much fun in that. And so he's great. He's awesome. That's where he's there at, and that's why he's in the Super Premium. And yeah, and so definitely check out the videos and things like that. Let's move on to Dragon Man and Tigra. We're going to speed it up a little bit here as we move through the rankings. Premium, keep in mind, for those of you that are new, Premium's an excellent, again, these are excellent champions. I'm going to give the quick example of what Premium means, or it's kind of a real world example because I know a lot of people have never seen these videos before. And for those of you who have, I apologize. But for Premium, this is how good Premium still is, you know, you started dating someone and you really want to impress them, and you're in that phase where you're trying to impress them. You take them to a play. You say, I want to take you to this play. And you get to the box office, and the box office person says, well, would you like regular seating or would you like premium seating? And the person you're trying to impress has heard that, and you're like, oh man, I really want premium seating, but you're thinking like, how expensive is that going to be? But boy, does it sound good, right? Think of this that way, right? The premium, it's really good. That's great. How much is that going to be? Okay, so keep that in mind. That's how good I think these champions are. All right, and if you're still like, yeah, I don't know, I really like Scarlet Witch, dude. Throw God in front of Premium, and they are now God Premium, and I bet you feel better, okay? All right, so Dragon Man and Tigra. Dragon Man, I think Dragon Man, the analysis on him is delayed, and the reason is there was a visual issue where when you had the opponent in the corner, he was covering up the opponent. And some of Dragon Man's, what you're trying to do is get the opponent in the corner. And even if you weren't, that's just kind of that's not good, right? And they've recently fixed that. And so I think because of that, and him making his way through the crystals, we're seeing him finally be ranked up, and people are finding uses for him. I think we all knew that a dual immune mystic robot was going to have some uses regardless, unless they were just terrible on the stat side. But we're just not seeing that, and I could definitely see him being moved up. Tigra, I just got Tigra. I was so excited to get her. The learning curve is steeper than even I realized, and I've done a video on Tigra. It is a lot, and here's the thing with her is I believe that depending on your roster and your desire to put time into learning her, she could be one of your best champions for certain nodes and interactions, or she could just be, don't even rank her up. Like don't put any ISO into her, because learning the spacing, learning the specials, learning how to use her heavy into another opponent's heavy or their special, it's going to take a lot of time, and it's fun, and I am finding it very satisfying. But that doesn't mean it's going to be for everyone. And so if you've pulled Tigra and you see her there, please, please, please. I mean, I would love this for anyone who watches any of these videos. Please go watch some more. Please go watch some more. Check out my videos, but definitely check out some of the other ones. And we'll go over some of those resources at the end here. Gambit. Gambit received a really solid buff. very solid. I really believe in and utilize Cam's rankings, or not rankings, but his champion breakdowns, and he loves Gambit. He seems very high on him. Some of the big positives from Gambit is he's now suicide friendly. There is some power manipulation that Gambit can do there with his stuns. That he is now he can get around some passive damage, like similar to Omega Red with his tentacle hit. That's a big deal, you know, if you're going up against a magic or something like that. I've utilized that quite a bit. Goblin was one of the first players to ever point that out to me, that you can get around some magic limbo with things like that. So that can allow you to win the fight or definitely save some items. So I think Gambit received a real positive buff there. Him going, being a potential horseman with Apocalypse and that synergy, because of how good Apocalypse is, I think that's a real big boon to him as well. And so I'd like to see more testing as people realize they have this Gambit on their roster that they forgot, they pulled, and they're like, oh, and then they forgot about. I'd like to see that more. I'd like to see more of this testing and videos coming out, where we're not just seeing him in these like ideal scenarios before we really move him up. I don't see us moving him down. The reviews are positive, and a lot of what he can do and the damage is good, is really good, actually. I don't see us moving him down, but I'm curious to see if he makes his way up at all as we move through this the next couple months and book 2 comes out. Hulkbuster. I just used Hulkbuster in the 4-star challenge on in this month's EQ, and I was extremely impressed. I went through it in detail, so I won't do it here. But the buff to Hulkbuster came out, I really thought like, okay, you got to get the opponent into the corner, and then you throw your SP2 into their block, and then that's how you play Hulkbuster. That's how you play it. And I could not have been more wrong, right? And I'm sure there were some videos on that, and if I look back at them, I'm sure they were just saying like, hey, here's this really cool thing. And so what I did is I wanted to revisit him, because I have a good friend, Aries, an amazing player, and who's shown me a lot of videos on Hulkbuster and War. We've shown them here on this channel. And I was like, I want to try this Hulkbuster out. And he's good. He's really good. The only reason I have not moved him up into the super premium, in fact, is because that quest has a node that specifically enhances the damage of the tech champions who can do what Hulkbuster can do. And so I don't want to overinflate it. I don't want to say like, oh, wow, this 4-star does all this damage. Clearly they're great. So I would like to test more as more content comes out, and I do intend to do that. But I have my eye, excuse me. All right, we're back. I have my eye on Hulkbuster for a rankings build move up. He's very suicide friendly. I was very impressed by that. The heal was incredible. That does take a high sig though, so there's an investment there that is required from someone. This isn't you don't just pull Hulkbuster and have that going. And then what I really loved was that the SP2 into the block, I found that more is like, if the opportunity presents itself, or if I feel like I can manipulate the fight into that situation, I can take advantage of it. And yes, that is great. Otherwise, I can just use this SP3. It's applying, it's draining some of the power. It's applying these shocks, which ramps up his attack value. And it's very suicide friendly, of course. And just doing that over and over, I felt like it was a real solid rotation. He's extra tanky, which is, again, great for mistake-prone players like myself. I was really impressed, and I've definitely got my eye on Hulkbuster as we move through. Elsa Bloodstone, she's one of the favorites for people to tell me I have ranked too low. One of the things I like to remind everyone is that I think this is a really good ranking. I'd be really happy having a champion here. Hitmonkey, Elsa, look at these champions. Red Goblin, Darkhawk, like these are great champions. That being said, I am revisiting her. So many people have said so many different things. A really awesome player in, I believe, SSX1 named Rob Hop showed me some videos of a rank 3 Elsa doing some amazing things in Alliance War. And I think that's where she was designed to be used. And if they hadn't nerfed that node, I think Elsa would be the absolute go-to for it all the time. She's awesome. She's great. She's really great. again, talking through with Rob and with DLL, I got to see more and more of her utility and how to be used. So instead of folks just saying like, I love auto questing with her, I'm like, well, that doesn't make her a great champion. That just means you like to set your phone down and press a button. That's what that means. And not that that's not fun. I'm not trying to belittle that. I'm just saying like that doesn't make them worthy of a higher ranking. And so a lot of great feedback on her. I'm enjoying testing her more as I'm learning Tigra, and I could see her being moved up, especially as we move on to book 2 and things like that. Falcon, I don't think the buff to Falcon was nearly as good as the buff to Gambit. That being said, Falcon definitely has uses. There is that evade counter. He can be really helpful with that, or against maybe a difficult node, being able to shut down the ability accuracy of that. Something to always keep in mind, and I've seen this already come up a couple times in a negative situation here, is that, it's kabam math, right? And you got to remember that. So when you see that something will not happen 100% of the time, yeah, you got to watch out to make sure that something's not going to happen 200% of the time, because that's more than 100%, right? So, which is right. I mean, I get it. It's just not, I think, what you initially read and think, which I hate to do this, but going back to Xavier's miss and counter abilities are they're not percentile based. It just says it cannot happen. So keep that in mind. So with Falcon, I think if you have him and he's your option for shutting down a node or an evade, like that's great. And he's got that use. And then, he's got the buff. So there's some damage increases and things like that. And so that's why he's there as opposed to just being a call champion. Red Goblin. DAP for Loki has gotten Red Goblin. Shows us some really cool videos. Taking those spider lanes with Red Goblin in AQ. I believe he's going to put out a Red Goblin video relatively soon. If you haven't checked out DAP's channel, it's hilarious. Great player, so much humility, and really does a great job of keeping in mind, like, yes, we take this game very seriously, but it's still a game. And I really enjoy his channel. I suggest checking it out. And if he puts out that Red Goblin video, definitely give it a look. Also, another YouTuber whose name is escaping me at the moment, but a small channel, put out an excellent Red Goblin video. If you're interested in Red Goblin or you recently got Red Goblin, I'm going to link the description in I'm going to link the video in the description here. Please check that out. It was really well done. Opened my eyes on Red Goblin even further on some of what he can do and that damage ramp up, and then even some really cool power control that I just hadn't realized was there. Aarkus is someone who gets a lot of comments on these videos too. I have started using Aarkus more due to these suggestions and the really well thought out reasons that are provided. And I'm seeing a nice damage increase that I did not realize was there. I'm seeing a real patient way of playing him because of all those power gains and how that can help you control a fight. So I am seeing that. I think there's gonna be further evaluation there. I could potentially see him being moved up over time. And then I think that is our last champion. For those of you who are new, we'll go over what call is. Call means, you're calling your shot, right? Like my favorite example for this is Ronin. Like there's going to be a fight with a ton of buffs, and you have an open spot on your attack team. So that's who you're bringing because you're using Ronin for that, but you're not going to use him for any other fight. Let's be realistic. That's just not happening, right? Or this is the average. This is the good. Just consider it good. Like this is your roster, and this is a good champion for it, right? Like Hood, you're bringing them along most likely because you're using a ghost team and you're worried about maybe some damage that you can't get around or an SP3. But then you realize there's gonna be a couple fights in there that you really would like a Mystic champion or some of the capabilities that are usually associated with Mystics, and you're gonna use Hood for him because he's good. He's good. He can do it. And so it makes sense to rake him up because you really like using Ghost and you take Ghost along. And Hood is worthy of it. And so that's what that column is meant for. Again, no shade. And then the last column is like, there's no reason for us to list all of them and talk about it. If they get buffed, we'll throw them in there in the other columns. It'll be fun. We'll talk about it. But otherwise, do we really need to talk about Iron Patriot? No. We don't. I mean, come on. Somewhere I Am Patriots crying now because I said that, and I feel badly about it. So let's not be mean. And then at the end here, I just want to make it clear the champions are ranked within their tier, so kind of keep an eye on that. Kind of again reminding everyone that just because you don't see the word God anywhere doesn't mean that these tiers are meant that they're not good. They're great, right? It's just, I just wanted to kind of get away from that and simplify things a little bit. Please, please, please use this as a reference, as maybe a place to start your research on a champion or to have some fun interaction and educate each other. I've learned so much from putting these videos out. That's part of why I like doing them, is hearing from the community like, hey, Vega, I think you're wrong on this champion, or it doesn't make sense here that you have Killmonger here and then you have Carnage here, because here's why. And I may end up disagreeing with you, but at least we're getting to really think about why we think these things, and then maybe that makes us better players. It's fun. And then I can highly recommend with complete confidence checking out the champion reviews of KT1, of Cam, and of Dark Zodiac. I've always been very impressed with their work, in particular when it comes to a champion review, the positives and the negatives. Bold, it just indicates that we're going to talk about them. My Twitter handle is there, of course. The little star means that the ranking is dependent on their awakened ability. Again, so complex, right? Because some champions, you just get them to rank 1, you're good, Hyperion. Other champions, Guardian, folks ask me, should I use a generic on Guardian? And I'm always like, ooh, I need to see your roster. And they're like, well, I thought he was really good. Well, I do think he's really good, but I would need to see your roster. Do you need what he does? Additionally, if you're just going to awaken him, no, don't use that. But if you're going to take him to SIG 200 because you really like him and he can help you out that way, then yeah, he's worth the awakening. So there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot that's needed to answer these questions, which again is why I don't want to put out this spreadsheet that just gives the impression that maybe all of your answers can be found within it. And then this one's the craziest, is the Horseman. Like, if you can be made a horseman, you're going to be really good. There's just no way around it. Some horsemen are better than others, yes, and some horsemen start off amazing. Archangel starts off in the top shelf without even being a horseman. Cable's good. Cable's good. If you start to put in the right synergies, he's really good. And then if you make him a horseman, like, ooh, you've got something. So that's that. I hope this was helpful. Please, hit the like and the subscribe and all that stuff, but also make some comments. Let's educate each other, educate me. I'd like to learn more about this game, and I'm having so much fun doing that with you and from you. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. I hope you either learned something, were entertained, or even better, a little bit of both. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow on Twitter at VegaGaming583. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.